Hi, I'm Bart Verginsten. I'm the founder and managing director of SP Management Development. Today, part 2 of questioning, asking the right questions. In my previous video, I talked about the questions that are not so helpful in a coaching conversation. For example, the closed and leading questions. Today, I want to talk about the open-ended questions, the powerful questions to ask in a coaching conversation. When one of your employees comes to you for advice, the easiest and fastest way to deal with it is to give them the solution. The employee is happy and will go back to work. He might have learned something, but he didn't come up with the solution himself. When you would have taken a little bit more time, you would have seen a coaching opportunity, and this problem-solving moment could have become a coaching conversation, just by asking questions instead of giving the answer. As I mentioned in one of my previous sessions, when you see a coaching opportunity, the first thing to do is to structure your conversation and start asking questions. Remember the structure? Set a goal, reality check, options and obstacles, the action plan and evaluation. Now, in each stage of this structure, you can ask questions that will help the employee to learn. Asking powerful, open-ended questions to produce their own solution is the foundational skill of being a coaching manager. Because the employee produced his or her own solution, he or she will remember this much longer than if you would have given the solution. So what are open-ended questions? Now, open-ended questions take more than one word or phrase to answer. They require more thought, explanation, and time than a simple yes or no. Open questions ask the employee to think, to reflect, and come up with their own ideas, instead of you, as a manager, to give them the answer on their question. When asking an open question, you give your employee time to think. So be quiet. Be quiet when they are thinking. If the employee is thinking and you have an answer in your mind, don't try to put your thought into a question, because this will be a leading question which will disturb the thinking process of your employee. You know when you have asked a powerful question when the answer is, I have to think about this, or good question, I don't know. Let me give you some examples of open-ended questions. What were the reasons that led to this problem? What are your thoughts on how to solve this challenge? What results are you looking for? What were your thoughts at that moment? How would you like to deal with it? How would you describe your relationship with him? You see that the open questions here all start with how or what. To start asking open-ended questions instead of closed or leading questions, start with the how and the what question in your mind. So let's take a look at changing a closed question into an open question. Instead of asking, did you like the presentation? Ask, what did you think about the presentation? Instead of asking, don't you agree? Ask, what are your thoughts on this? Instead of asking, did you work on that project this week? Ask, regarding the project, what did you do this week? You see that what is your best friend in this? Instead of asking questions that will give you a one-word answer, using the what question will give you much more information, and it triggers the employee to think. Normally, when you ask how questions, you will ask your employee to explain what is happening in their internal thinking, their thinking process related to action or behavior. How do you stay motivated when you feel overwhelmed? How do you successfully solve a problem when under the pressure of a deadline? How do you measure success for yourself? How would you remember to do that? Okay, let's have a look at a short example. Frank, can I talk to you for a couple of minutes? I just don't get enough done in a day. What do you think? How can I help you with this? Well, just hear me out and maybe you can give me some ideas to handle this. Okay, tell me more. What is happening? I never get everything done on my to-do list. The more I get done, the more I end up adding to the list. I think I have a time management problem. What would successful time management look like to you? Well, I get everything done on my list. How realistic is that? It's not, but what else am I going to do? How do you like to solve problems like this? For example, you like to talk to someone, make a list of pros and cons, read a book about the topic. Well, I do like to talk to a few people and to make a list of pros and cons. Who are some people you could talk to for some help? I have two co-workers who seem to be quite good in managing their time. How would you approach them? I ask them for advice, how they manage their time. When will you realistically be able to talk to them? You seem so busy. This is really important to me. I'll talk to my co-workers today to schedule time with them. How will you fit them into your schedule since you're so busy already? Frank, this conversation is helping me to realize that I've got to do something. I'll have to make time to talk to them. It sounds like you're getting a clearer picture on this time management problem. Yeah, maybe one of my problems is that I'm hoping for some kind of fix will come along without me having to make time for it. Oh, that's a good insight, Bob. Frank, this conversation is really helpful. Well, the answers seem to come from you, not from me. What was helpful about this conversation? Well, I guess I really like the way that you just ask me questions. It really made me think. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for being so honest. You know what you could do for me after you talk to your co-workers? Tell me what you learned, not just about time management, but also about yourself. Okay, thanks, man. Notice how coaching is different. Okay, so what happened in the coaching conversation? First, there was a structure. There was a goal setting. There was a reality check. What is happening now? Different options, also obstacles, were discussed, and it ended with an action plan and an evaluation moment. As you see, it's a structure to help you. Be flexible with it. It's not a harness. You can play with it. It will happen naturally. As long as you are aware that all parts of the structure are covered. And most important, the person has to leave the room with an action that he has produced himself. Other than there was a structure, Frank mostly just asked questions. Frank's questions that made Bob think, there were no questions that could be answered with just a yes or no. Frank didn't have to know much about Bob at all in order to be really helpful. Ideas and the actions came from Bob, not from Frank. That helps Bob to take ownership in this situation and to ensure his actions are realistic. Frank affirmed Bob's participation in the conversation when he asked, the answers were coming from you. Frank helped Bob to learn from the conversation. He asked Bob to share his learning after his conversation with his colleagues, a kind of evaluation. Now, it will feel a little weird in the beginning to ask open questions and just listen to your staff and let them come up with solutions for their own problems. You will have moments that you want to give advice, you want to help them more actively, you want to give them directions, and even sometimes you want to take over the task. As I told you at the start of my videos, it's not about you, it's about helping the other person to grow, to develop. This is one of your most important tasks as a manager. Thank you for watching, and I see you next time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. You can leave your comments below.